Hold up, limitless, niggas to me got pin in it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling got me up. On the mission got me up. Knowing me, I got the key. On this vision I can trust. Limitless, niggas to me got pin in it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling got me up. On the mission got me up. Knowing me, I got the key. On this vision I can trust. Limitless, niggas to me got pin in it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling got me up.
Well, welcome to a three-man Pivot Friday. Got my dog, Channing Crowder, Frederick Taylor. I'm Ryan Clark, Pivot fam. Thank you for always pivoting with us. And so we always get sort of these comments, right? And they'll say, hey, man, won't you do a show on Chan? Like if Chan was just a guest and we were interviewing him. And the same thing for Freddy T. So what we decided to do today is all of us are going to be a host of the Pivot, and at some point all of us are going to be a guest as well. So we got some career questions, we got some life questions, some current event questions, all things that we'd answer as if we were Pivot guests. We don't pay the guests, so I'd be doing this for free, so I get to answer however the hell I want. So you just never know. So Chan, we're gonna allow you to be the first
Before you
host.
get started, I'm sorry. You call me Frederick?
That's your name.
Why you call me Frederick?
'Cause that's what your mama named you.
Then you call me Freddy T.
Why can't you be all of them?
I can be, but
Multifaceted.
usually when I'm called Frederick, it's either I'm getting in trouble or I got to do some official stuff, like with the government or pay some bills or something.
It's funny you say that. Every time I've heard Randolph in my life, it's either getting an ID or getting locked up.
I can see that. Randolph Crowder, stand up.
I would like to give my attorney power of attorney for the rest of the afternoon so I can get out of this jail case.
Bro, by the way, man, I have such a bad headache. Like, I don't know if you can see this little knot on my head. I dropped something in the bathroom before we came here, and I bent down, and I didn't quite measure out the counter well enough.
You beat that noggin?
Wow! And you know how your eyes start watering? But I was, and nobody was around, but I was like, I ain't finna be soft, so I just kept living my life. And I went in the bathroom just now. I was like, man, my head is still hurting. I got a little knot.
That's that age,
It's
bro.
that tough guy.
That age too.
What was that? Well, we
We
still
gonna
got to
be
be the
so
tough
tough,
guy, man. We
yeah.
still got to be the tough guy.
I ain't tough.
And then to think about it, he laid so many people out during his career. Hey, I would have instantly thought RC about CTE, losing my memory. That's how far off I am. Like anytime I hit my head, I have a headache. I start thinking the worst, bro, from my playing days.
You're also a negative Nancy as well, and you're like a worry wart. I'm not a worry wart. I told my people all the time, man, I'm not finna die of stress. And like the stuff I can't control, like I can't go not hitting my head. Like I can't go back in time and say, okay, now when I reach for whatever I dropped, I'm not gonna hit my head. So it is what it is. I don't think of none of that. I just hit my head and I was just pissed more than anything that I was stupid. But as far as being upset about it, I'm not. All right, Chan, you kick it off, man. You get to ask the first questions.
Freddie and me, we were headed over here today, and something that kind of took my breath because I haven't heard anybody say it, but people ask us all the time, and I think we all have a locked-in answer for this. But people say, do you miss the game? Do you miss the game? And Freddie misses that goddamn game. I don't. I miss the checks, bro. That's the only thing I miss. Like, I'm 12 years out. Like, I do not miss going out there hitting them big motherfuckers every play. Fred said he misses the game. You miss the game?
See, so that actually is a good setup because when I come back to you, my question to you will be based off of the game, passion and love for the game. But yeah, I do miss the game. I think what I missed the most was, one, the camaraderie, the whole locker room vibe. And that's not technically missing the game, it's just missing the fellas, missing that feeling, right? And I also missed what I fell in love with at the end of my career, which was just game planning, not so much the competition. The last 2 years, after I tried to take my shoe off in Kansas City, we was all there, and I pulled my hamstring after a long workout because the hamstring kept me down and I couldn't explode and do the things that I naturally could do. That's when I started missing the game. Because for years, I felt like if I see this young guy out here who's popping off and talking shit, I felt like, boy, if I could have got a piece of you, you know what I'm saying? I would just say it in my head. But now when I realized I couldn't physically no longer do it, I can't do it. People will come up to me all the time and say, Freddie, we need you out there. If y'all need me, we definitely gonna lose, right? And that's usually my response. But I do miss the game, and I think I miss the ability to actually be able to go out there and compete. I would love to compete in this era. I would love to see what it's like. I would love to be in the building around the fellas, and there's just this new style of everything that's football. I played in a smash mouth. RC gonna meet you in the hole. You know, Joey Porter gonna meet you in the hole. Troy Polamalu, like, I lived to play against the Steelers. You know, so just that whole thought of how great it would be when I sit and I visualize myself running and scoring touchdowns, seeing old highlights, all of that stuff makes me miss the game, because I know 100% certainty that I could no longer do it. When I felt that I still could do it, I didn't miss it as much. I just missed the game planning, and I missed the guys. But now I do miss the game.
And RC, you actually was about to die for this shit. 'Cause going to Denver, knowing that you got the sickle cell, the insides
No organs.
ruined, knowing you ain't got no, but like you would still play. We've talked about it on the show before. You would still go play. Like you would. It's literally put your life on the line for this game.
Yeah.
You loved it that much?
Yeah, I wouldn't, looking back at it, I wouldn't do it now, you know, but then absolutely. And I know for sure, like that one thing wasn't about just playing football. It was about conquering like demons or climbing mountains or whatever metaphor you want to use. There was all of these things, people that told me I couldn't do for so much of my life. And they were simple things, right? You weren't fast enough, you weren't big enough, you weren't physical enough, you weren't talented enough, all these not enoughs. And you always had an opportunity to go prove them wrong, right? That's what football was for me. It was an opportunity to prove people wrong. And I know people always like say the cool thing, like I want to prove myself right. I didn't know. You know what I mean? Like when people were telling me what I couldn't do, I didn't know if I could. I just knew I wanted an opportunity. And, you know, and I've told this story before, and it kind of goes back, and I'll try to circle around to it as quickly as possible. When I got the call to go work out in Washington, I was leaving Will Muschamp's office to figure out how to be a grad assistant football coach, right? Because I was like, I'm going to go into football coaching. But I was working at LSU at the time because I needed the money. I got a book when I got married called Power of a Praying Husband. And in the book, it says, whatever you don't pray for, you leave up to chance. It was a Tuesday night. They called me on Wednesday. I got on my knees the night before, and I prayed that God gave me an opportunity to play again. Not necessarily make a team, not have a career, whatever it is, an opportunity. So when that phone call happens, I'm like, oh, this is the chance, right? Like, this is the opportunity. Because the last football conversation I'd had was with Tom Coughlin, and he told me I couldn't do it. Oh. And at that point, I didn't know. Maybe he was right. But if I never got another chance to prove him wrong, or if I never got another chance to see, I'd actually never have the answer. And the Denver thing was so different because people were telling me I could play, right? I was a consultant with doctors. I was talking to people, and they were saying to me, now that you no longer have a spleen, your blood will still sickle, but you won't be affected in the way that you were affected. I still would have gotten sick. It still would have been difficult on my body. I still would have had to recover, but I wouldn't be near death. And that made sense to me, right? It's like to me, it was like an ankle, right? So you're telling me like if I tape it up and I spat it and you shoot me up and I take painkillers, I can play. I'm just gonna be effed up afterwards. That's what it sounded like to me, except for it was just like organs, and it was illness, and it was sickness. And so, yes, I loved it that much, but I loved y'all that much. Like, I loved my teammates that much. And I cherished the opportunity to do something that people told me I wasn't enough to do. And I think for me, it was being enough to conquer that one last demon, which wasn't even playing well in Denver. It was just playing after I'd had such a tough time the other 2 times I went.
We all know you were an undrafted free agent. You went on to have an amazing career, 13 years which is 4 times the average. It's crazy. A lot of people don't know the average NFL career is like 3.5 years. RC played 13 years, so as an undrafted guy, that's pretty big. You also won a Super Bowl in this league, right? What was the defining moment when you realized that you can compete with the best in the world?
Oh, easy. It's my 3rd year. It's the same year I was talking about earlier. It's the year Washington picks me up. And so I had a coach named Steve Jackson. He's now the safeties coach in Tennessee. And Steve was like very emotional. Like he'll pull you out of the game for like one mistake unless you were Sean, you know? And so the second game of the season, I'm using the bathroom at halftime. They wanted to put me down, right? So they was gonna list me as an inactive, but they tried to do it right before the game. And Danny Smith, who's the special teams coach in Pittsburgh now, was like, nah, RC's my guy. He's been working all week. LeVar Arrington was up, and they said, nah, we're gonna let RC be the guy. We're gonna let him be up. He's been working hard on special teams. We're gonna let him play. So they keep me up for that game. It's at halftime. One of Channing moves. I'm peeing next to Steve Jackson. The other safety had got beat deep on a post. He's peeing, I'm peeing. I'm trying not to look him in the eye because that's weird. And he looks at me and he goes, you know strong safety? And I was like, yeah. He said, you in the game. That's how I started playing defense in Washington. And it was cool because Tiki Barber was on the other side. And I was like, I've been trying to get back to him since I left New York. This is perfect, right? And so a couple of games go by and that same safety ends up getting hurt. So the first play I'm in as a starter is inside fire zone, right? So cross dog in front of me, I'm the 3 receiver hook. So I'm inserting into the box and it's a draw to Jamal Lewis, right? And at this time, I'm like 185 pounds. You know what I'm saying? So it opens up like the Red Sea and it's just me and him. And I just go downhill, and I tackle him. And I'm not saying like I killed him. You know what I mean? It's open field, though, and I fit up Jamal Lewis, who was, at that time, 40 pounds heavier than me, and I fit him up, and, you know, I'll be honest, like, I opened my eyes, because, you know, right before that hit, sometimes it's, right? I'm alive. Right, so I get up, and I open my eyes, and I was like, oh, that wasn't that bad, you know? And because in my mind, though, and I think that's something that I don't talk about a lot, it took me the experience of doing it and being successful to actually believe I can do it. I knew I wanted to do it. I knew I worked extremely hard to be able to do it, but we all say like we don't care what people think about us, but the people who can make decisions on our lives, we have to care what they think. And it's hard when you continuously hear something to not believe it a little bit, right? And you know, like when we get on the other side of it, we all want to be tough. Like, yeah, I always knew I was going to prove myself right. I ain't know. Yeah. I wanted to know, right? But like that's why opportunity is so important. But yeah, that was the play, man. That I was like, oh, wait, I can do it. And then there are all kind of other moments that get you to be a captain, that get you to be a starter in the Super Bowl, that get you to be a Pro Bowler. But that was like the first time I thought to myself, hey, man, like they might be wrong about me. And I kind of went on a tear for like the next 6 weeks where I led the team in tackles and I was on like you got jacked up for like the next 6 weeks in a row.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I had a coach hit me up like, man, you used to be a ball guy. What you doing? And I was like, shit, I tackled Jamal Lewis.
Almost like believing in yourself and other people's opinions. And my whole thing is you don't care about anything. And this is something that honestly people don't say. And I've never actually said it before, especially on wax. My therapist told me, and I have a therapist. I talk to a therapist now. And as achievers and as people that get graded, and we grew up, our whole life was getting graded, 4-star, 3-star, 5-star. Every game, what you get a grade. You get a percentage. There's somebody grading you. So then you become accustomed to your emotions and your feelings are off of other people's approval of you. And I never thought of sports that way, but it is. It's a coach telling you you're doing a great job. It's you making that play and then going in the film room and everybody be like, damn, hell of a tackle, bro. And that gets you up. And that's something that I never thought about till honestly last week when I talked to my therapist about it. He was like, you need other people to grade you because that's why you live on a scale system. He was like, you need to find fulfillment for yourself. And this is stuff personally, not even about sports, it's just with me. It's like, you need to find fulfillment in yourself. You don't need other people to make you feel good and things of that nature. So I was talking to my therapist, that's another thing. Black folks don't believe in therapists, get you a damn therapist. They help, because even that conversation opened my eyes. But to that of like, feeling like enough and having that doubt, like you just said RC's accolades. Freddie, you didn't struggle in sports at all. You didn't struggle, period, at sports. We seen your damn basketball picture in 10th grade. You look like a grown man.
Hey, Reggie was huge.
Was 220 with abs in 10th grade. I didn't look like that in 10th grade. Like, you did not struggle at all. But did you still care, like, the doubt of that? Like you're saying, feeling like enough. Because a lot of them people out there, they don't feel like enough, but did you see that? Did you understand that, what you were, see, big as fuck, running a 4.2? Like, or did you still have doubt? Did you still lay in bed and worry and shit at night? Because other people, I'm speaking for myself, but I want to ask you, did other people mold your mind into knowing that? How did you have to see that?
See, so that's the thing. You said I didn't always struggle, but I did. You know, and it's funny, and you guys will probably laugh, but I'll share it with you in a moment. I actually started a children's book called The Big Pivot, From the Sideline to Stardom. And the story is set on a kid named Freddy who was sensitive and who couldn't play ball. He was the worst in the neighborhood, right? And it speaks to children from 5 to 10, right? And basically just saying and tap into your confidence, find your confidence, but it comes through hard work. It comes through what you said, having those struggles. I did struggle. I struggled with confidence, I struggled with not being the best, and I struggled with being sensitive. Guys back then can say anything, and I would just boo-hoo cry, and just walk away and wouldn't even want to look back and compete. But that all changed. I got tired of that shit. Right? And I would go away when nobody was watching, and I would just do different things to challenge myself. The most, weird things that you guys would probably pick on me today about, but, I did it. And it eventually worked out. Like when I talked about making the moves on the gumdrops or the cracks in the sidewalk, I actually did that. And I believe that all kind of helped with my instincts and my development for the position I played. But I had my struggles earlier on. I wasn't always the biggest, but I went away one summer, and when I came back, I was bigger, stronger, faster than all the dudes in the neighborhood, and that was just God's design for me. But I put in the work. I certainly put in the work, and I really wanted to be the best, and I eventually came back and I was the best. And when I tasted some success, and when I heard the people saying, oh, you gotta see that kid play, I just wanted more and more and more and more, and that turned into, what do I have to do to get to the next level? I didn't always take it as serious, maybe as the next person, but I just wanted to be better than the next person. I wanted to show you that I can compete with you. If I had to stay to the park 3 hours jumping in those calf, those shoes that they made, you walk on your toes or whatever.
Shirt shoes. My calf's still skinny.
Exactly. So
You had them?
that's funny.
You had them look,
that was me.
The shoe with the little
platform,
pad, the
right.
platform. I
Where your
had
heel
them platform
don't touch the ground.
shoes too.
So I walked in them all day, every day. I ran at them. I jumped to touch the rim, try to get my vertical up so I can dunk before everybody else. I was dunking in the 8th grade, bro. I just stopped growing.
That's because you were 6'1", 205 pounds in the
I don't
8th
know
grade.
if I was that big, but no, man, I put in the work. But that was the setup for why, I wanted to talk to you about actually loving the game and being competitive. Mm-hmm. You speak about, well, it's the checks, it was the checks. Is that, now you say you have a therapist.
Yeah.
Is that a way for you to mask not reaching your fullest potential? Because you was a dog, Chan. You was a dog, and I want to ask you if that was a way for you to mask not reaching your fullest potential, but I also want to couple that with asking you about just Miami itself. Do you think if you had not been drafted in Miami, the party town, because that when people watch this show, they see Loose Channing. You're always talking about Miami and this and that and going out and hanging out and all of that. if it were not for you, your mindset to say, all right, it's just the checks, and not for the city of Miami, where you know you had access to a party at any given moment, any day of the week, would you have been a better player to reach your fullest potential?
I've actually thought about that because Mel Kiper, who lies to everybody, he doesn't know anything that's going on.
Mel's pretty good at his job. He invented the
Mel
job.
don't know what the fuck's going on. He's just, talking about
blaming Mel?
evaluation, he evaluates. He's going here, he's going there, he's
But
going
that's
there. They don't
the
know where
thing.
nobody's
This is
going.
what I'm saying now. Perfect setup.
okay.
Why are you blaming Mel when you have full control?
No,
of
because
it?
Mel said I'm going to Green Bay at 22
Why listen?
and New England at 32.
Why listen?
Green Bay at 22, New England at 32. That's what he told me. I went to Miami at 70.
Did Mel call you and say, Chan, you're going
No, he
here?
put that shit on ESPN, and I was 20 years old, and I'm sitting there staring at the TV. Shit, bitch, I'm about to get $8 million. Shit, let me go spend something. But I thought about that, though, because it's funny. I just said Green Bay and New England. I think about if I did go to a place like Green Bay or go to a place like where there's nothing to do. I was in Gainesville going crazy already. I enjoyed the outside. And I can even look back, like Tebow came right after me. I was there with Chris Leak. Some of those guys were like, it was football all day. I don't know if football came easy to me, but I could really like just live life like a normal person and then go out here and get me 15 tackles, a sack, 2 sacks in high school, like, and just go still and live like this. Football was almost a side piece to life where I think some people live football and I didn't live football. But if I was to go to one of those slower towns, would it have been harder for me so that I could have put myself totally, entrenched myself totally in football? I have thought about that. But really, man, coming from Atlanta, party town, like that's like you go out. Like we laugh about Magic City and all that stuff. Like I was going to Magic City in college. Like I go back to Atlanta, I'm about to hit Magic City. I'm about to hit Strokers. I'm about to hit, you know what I'm saying? Like it is what people do. It's what Ludacris and T.I. and Jeezy and all them dudes told me that's what I need to do. We joke about me getting a Chevy, same color Tropicana orange juice, like Jeezy's song said.
Yeah.
I literally got my check and went and got a Chevy, same color Tropicana orange juice. Because that was the culture I grew up in. Then I go to Florida and Gainesville's a party town. Then I get to Miami and it's probably the biggest party town in the United States, I would say, to be honest. I've been everywhere and partied everywhere. Miami's crazy. That matriculation, that coming from Atlanta, then going to Gainesville, now going to Miami, I would say it wasn't positive for my career. I don't think it would have changed if I was to be in Green Bay. I would have still flew home every time I got a chance to be in an Atlanta party, and I'd have still done it. But would it have made me, almost forced me to be more serious about my craft? I do think about that now in retrospect. I think about that being in a town that's just nothing to do. Would that have changed my career? I look back and think about it.
It's crazy you say that because people ask me a lot about, me playing in a smaller market. And I always go back with God gives you what you can handle. It's sort of, in hindsight, looking back on it, the smaller market was perfect for me. If I had gone to New York earlier in my career, I don't know if I would have been able to handle it. I like to get outside. In the off seasons, I spent most of my time in Miami. Earlier in my career, a lot of my injuries came from due to excessive wear and tear of the body. We don't take muscle injuries and dehydration and all that stuff. We take it for granted. Like, we don't always take it serious unless we have a ACL or MCL, some sort of ligament tear. But over time, hanging out excessively and all that stuff sort of caught up with me. And when I realized I needed my rest, I didn't need to party 100%. I needed to party, 1 day a week and not 5 days a week. I think that's what would have happened if I had gone to a bigger market. So sort of like you, I was always afraid to not go out there and live up to my potential. That scared the shit out of me, and I put myself in that mindset. But I also, at times, didn't work to my fullest potential because I wanted to hang out with the homies. I just wanted to be an everyday person.
I don't think you could have dealt with a New York media market. You were a mute, Fred.
That's
you were
that's
a mute.
good,
You didn't
though.
say shit. We look back. We got video of like when you played.
Is that a bad thing? I didn't have to.
I think I told you before and Zach Thomas before. I think y'all are the two guys I've told this to, and I swear to God I believe it. If y'all were more boisterous and vocal, y'all would both have been in the Hall of Fame faster.
That was going to be my question for you, not even about boisterous or boastful. How much do you believe, not only playing in a small market, but playing on a team that didn't have huge, very public, important football moments for you to be a part of? If you look at all the teams with a ton of Hall of Famers, they all won a lot of Super Bowls and won a lot of games.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people from the Patriots that are going to be in the Hall of Fame. The Steel Curtain, Pittsburgh Steelers have a ton of Hall of Famers. San Francisco 49ers, Dallas Cowboys, so on and so forth. Kansas City Chiefs will. How much does playing in Jacksonville have to do with some of your struggles of getting into the Hall of Fame?
I think obviously at the end of the day, it all comes down to the selectors. And for the people who don't understand it, there's 32 NFL cities, which each city has their local person that represents that market. And then there's 16 at large for a total of 48. And then there's 2 others, so I believe it's 50 selectors overall. At the very end of it all, what I've learned throughout this process is I have zero control. I've never had control, right? And during our playing days, you know, we don't always go out to say, I want to make the Hall of Fame. There might be a small percentage of guys that enter the league and say that. I was never one of them. I just wanted to go out and play, make some money, and play some more. And that was it. I learned this whole branding and marketing thing later in my career. When I came out as a rookie, I lit it up, had some great games, finished behind Randy Moss in Rookie of the Year, which brings me to the question you was asking, RC. If we had more meaningful games in my rookie year, for example, Randy played Green Bay and Dallas. He had 2 huge games against those teams. One is a Thanksgiving Day game, and I believe the other was somewhere like around Christmas or something. It's on Fox, big time matchup, Minnesota, Dallas, Minnesota, Green Bay. We don't have a traditional rivalry or a traditional opponent in my era. It became the Titans, but that was due to a few other things. But Randy hit it at the right times. He lit both those teams up, and that sort of carried him over the hump, where I still believe I should have won Rookie of the Year that year for my performance. 1,300 yards, 17 touchdowns, another 400 or 500 in the air, had about 1,800 total yards. My rookie year still was overshadowed because of the market. And I think not having those sort of accolades early in my career, that plays a big part in, you know, my argument for the Hall of Fame. If I was Rookie of the Year that year, that's a notch on my belt that helps the conversation to the selectors in my campaign. Also, I don't want to blame it totally on the Jacksonville market because there were some inconsistencies in there. You see a lot of guys come off the college level that are drafted high. They are graded by potential, and the hype train follows that potential. And I don't want Trevor to catch us straight, but you know, Trevor was big name who won championships in college, and his branding and market is still up here because people are waiting for him to turn the corner because of the potential. Same with me, but I got injured. You know, I got injured my second year and then bit my third year. I was never able really to stack those back-to-back seasons until the middle of my career. But then at that point in time, the questions were out there. Yeah. You know, can he stay healthy? Can he do this? Can he do that? And I had some dogs at a position when I came out. Well, you know, a lot of one-offs. A lot of guys who had one good season. When I had a really good season, I have 1,500. This guy go for 2,000 TD year. I have 1,400. This guy go for 1,700, and then 1,600, and it's stacked up like that. But if you look at the consistency of my career, 7 1,000-yard seasons, all this stuff, I ain't gonna get into the numbers. I think the argument is still valid, but I do also think there's a small part of it has to do with the market and not being as popular.
For a kid who wasn't always good at football, who could be talked out of knowing that he was good and be talked out of playing, how difficult was it emotionally and mentally for you individually to deal with fragile Freddy,
Right.
to deal with not meeting expectations, to hear those sort of things when you had an experience or a life that said some of those negative thoughts could get to you?
First and foremost, my rookie year, during OTAs, I was drafted 9th, so I set the expectations for myself and what I thought were the expectations of the team based on what the things I've heard, before I entered the NFL, those, nightmare stories. I had a back spasm in OTAs. I went in the locker room and I cried and I thought my career was over. I mean, I was just in a bad place and I thought like, damn, it's over before it started because I never felt anything like that. So I put that sort of pressure on myself. When it came down to the Fragile Fred stuff, I knew I had some injuries and I never thought of myself as fragile. I thought of myself as just having some bad luck and playing the game extremely hard. There are a few plays, if I go back and I take back, I would say, damn, I wouldn't have done that. Coach say don't run out of bounds. I'd have done it different. So, but no, I never really focused a lot on the whole Fragile Fred thing. There were moments where I was like, damn, that's what they think of me. But I didn't I didn't invest a whole lot of time and effort and stock into it. But it was hurtful. I just didn't, I wanted to prove them wrong. And again, prove myself right. When I met Trevor Mowat, we just started learning positive reinforcement. Trevor's my sports psychologist. We learned the value and the art of positive thinking, which sort of, recalibrated my trajectory in my career, and I started to ball. So I never let that Fragile Fred thing hang over my head. I knew I was a better player than what they were, throwing out there. But again, I also understood that injuries come with the game, and I played the game hard. And if I got hurt, so be it. I worked my ass off to try to get back out there.
Fred, why didn't you have no dances?
Why I had no
You
dances?
were good as hell. You ran in the end zone like a creative player and threw the ball to the referee.
I didn't always do that.
Did
I
you
have
dance?
a few on tape. But
He get fired up though, like Freddie
But he
teaches.
do the little muscle man.
but I had some dances.
Man, the man got the little dingy dance.
I didn't do the dirt. That was the dirty bird.
LaDainian had the little
LT had
flippy.
his thing. I watched some of the best. Sweetness didn't do it. Barry Sanders didn't do it. And those were the guys I sort of
Barry was
looked at.
exhausted. He had to run 700 yards to get
fired.
Yeah, he did. Jim Brown didn't do it either.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, and then I listen. You have those coaches who say, great players just hand the ball to the referee. And that was me. But every now and then, I want to go up and fuck the goal post. I got some footage out there doing the dog to the goal post. It was ugly. It was nasty. Tampa Bay game. It's out there somewhere. But that just wasn't my thing, Chan. Look, I used to cutthroat and all that, but that was it.
Say, bro, I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. These trips to Notre Dame to see Joe play, they be hitting your boy over the head. You gotta get everybody up to South Bend from Louisiana. But I ain't tripping though. I'm finna join these other millions of Chime members and get on that Chime. Shoot, I mean, I keep my bank accounts in order, Chan, but for the people who don't, you get free overdraft for up to $200. And then that next deposit just jumps back on that and is applied to that fee.
Man, let me hold something, brother. I know you got it. I know you got it, Freddie. Chime has helped out people with over $20 billion now because friends can help friends. If I need y'all, y'all can hit me up. We can have the spot me, which I love on Chime, the spot me, where the friends help friends get that limit back to zero. If you can help me out, and $20 billion have been done with that. So, like you say, RC, you're not overdrawn, and you good to go.
Yeah, hey man, it's so simple. All you gotta do is, first of all, set up direct deposit on your Chime account, and they'll spot you up to your balance. And then your next direct deposit, that'll wipe out your negative balance. See how easy that is? Go set up Chime.
What we trying to say is, y'all can live it up and still reach your financial goals with Chime.
All y'all gotta do is hit chime.com/pivot. That's chime.com/pivot. Y'all know what it does? It feels like progress.
Banking services and debit card provided by the Bancorp Bank, N.A. or Stride Bank, N.A. Members FDIC. Spot Me eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Boosts are available to eligible Chime members enrolled in Spot Me and are subject to monthly limits. Terms and conditions apply. Go to chime.com disclosures for details. Chad, I have a question for you. You do a lot of things now, right? You're building, not only just the brand, but sort of like the Crowder empire. How do you go through the process of what you will prioritize at what time, right? When, the saying of a jack of all trades is a master of none. How do you sort of list your things out, your goals, your priorities to say, okay, this has to come first. This has to come next. I can delegate this amount of time to this. I can give this person this piece of me, this person that piece of me. How have you started to do those things as you continue to add more to your plate, along with having young babies as well?
That's something that now I'm working through with Asia. I bring up my wife all the time with her, but it's funny with the pivot, we have our scheduling that we have the note and all. We'll be like, hey, we got this, and this. But it's like, I'm not gonna be home 2 days a week. This is the way we move. You ain't, hell, I don't know when you home, but.
Not very often.
I would say it's vetted in almost. Like whatever was here before, whatever's set. So like, y'all know, I'm gonna do radio from 2 to 6, and we work 2 to 6. What, the West Coast is 11 to 1, whatever. Like y'all literally work my radio schedule into all of our shoots. Then if I gotta come to New York or LA or Dallas or Kansas City, Atlanta, wherever we go, I gotta work it in. So it's kind of like, it's almost like the thing that's been there the longest is where I'll put the effort into. And I don't know if that's the right way to do it, but really taking advantage of opportunities is something that I don't think I did. So I'm 12 out. I would say like 7 or 8 years, I didn't take full advantage of opportunities I had.
Yeah.
After I retired. Because I almost felt accomplished. Like, I'm a millionaire. I played in the league. I've done something that 99% of the world can't do anyway. So I was almost like, oh, okay, radio's cool. I'll do some radio. Okay, we can do this, I'll do that. And I would say the podcasting and y'all boys, just the stuff y'all do. We talked about it before with all your jobs, and then Fred with all these damn investments and buying soccer teams and you coaching as well as commentating on. Like, it almost put a battery in my back of like, man, I got to do more. Like, they're doing the podcast, I'm doing the podcast. I'm doing radio, they doing radio. Let's, you know what I'm saying? I was like, let me do, what can I do? And then with the seasoning, with Crowder Powder, it's like, you cook. And they was like, shit, you got all these damn seasonings. How about you figure out what you put on stuff? Because you barbecue all the time. But my thing, like my happy place is cooking. I love to go home and we'll come home from a red eye on LA and I'll go straight to Publix and get food and marinate it while I go home and go to sleep so I can cook dinner that night. So it's just looking at things you like to do, but it's hard. Like you say, prioritize. I think I almost do it on, my oldest child gets the most attention and the baby doesn't. Like comedy that's the baby. So I'll do it, I'll mess around with it, but if there's anything else to do, I'll let comedy go. So I don't know if almost like longevity is the vetting process in my mind, but I'm still trying to figure that out. But I think it's something that everybody should do, is really maximize your time. Because just we talked about it recently on the show, like seeing people die around us. Seeing that I'm 40. What you, 4?
I'll be 45 tomorrow.
Oh, 45. So you 45. Fred is 82, so we just.
I knew it was coming. But like, I wanted to ask him, could the 5-year-old kid named Freddy not drink on the white only smoke water fountain?
Damn.
Fred, how was Jim Crow?
You was gonna do me like that? I expected from him, Marcy.
How was Jim Crow? I was pretty.
When he said he watched Jim Brown, I was gonna be like, because they were playing him that week.
Hey, yo.
Y'all would fight. So when you had 1,400, Jim had 1,800.
I'm looking around, I was like, I know y'all want to throw this little camera in. Like, this is what they filmed you on. Whatever.
But you never know when that last day is. There's a lot of days when I retired that I wasn't doing shit. That I was working for 2-3 hours a day. I wasn't really doing shit or maximizing shit or maximizing what I can do. And that's what I'm trying to do now. But the prioritizing is something that I'm still working through now with my family.
You didn't mention it, but salute on the Crowder powder taco seasoning. I need some.
I got you.
No, I'm seriously, I need some. I cook tacos for the boys twice a week. I be running out of fucking taco season, so hook me up.
Just want something else too with when you have a friend with a business. CrowderPowder.com, you got money, go and buy you some goddamn Crowder Powder taco seasoning.
I'm gonna buy some.
Hey, it's you. Black folks always want to hook up.
Everybody want to hook up. You see what I'm talking about?
Can I get a sample pack? You know how many people hit me after I've been posting the Pivot Performance Energy? Fred, can I get a? Nah, it's coming, but we'll figure it out.
I need a website, man. Get you a couple bottles.
So you were undrafted. Mm-hmm. Would you trade your Super Bowl championship for the ability to have been drafted in the top 10?
No. Now, because what I do know, one, I would have more guaranteed money, especially back in that time. Mm-hmm. So that would have been cool. The hard part about answering these questions is your experience actually make you the person that's answering the questions.
Correct.
Right? So my experience is that of an undrafted player. I don't have the experience of being drafted in the top 10. Maybe somebody that was drafted in the top 10 and had a certain amount of money and was treated a certain amount of ways that didn't win a Super Bowl and doesn't know what that feels like. Maybe he's comfortable in saying that he would or wouldn't trade it. I don't know. But for me, no, because it's part of what makes me. It's part of why I am who I am. It's a large part of why I became what I am. I don't think I was cut out. Like I was very comfortable in knowing I wasn't a good enough player to get drafted that high. I thought I was good enough to be drafted, but I knew I wouldn't be drafted that high. But it's the ways that people treat you when you aren't drafted that once you are valued, allows you to put that value in perspective.
Correct. Yep.
Right? When people started to say that I was valuable or started to say that I mattered, and the Washington contract comes up and you make Adam Archuleta the highest paid safety that's ever played, but you tell me I could come back and be a part of all of that for league minimum, it didn't make me mad. Like my feelings weren't hurt, you know? I was like, oh, that's what they think. Now I got to try to find something else, right? When I go to Pittsburgh and they offered me a contract that I thought I was better than, but they had misdiagnosed something that was with my knee, whatever, and they were like, but we're still going to sign you. Or when they tell me I've earned the spot, but this guy's still going to play. Like all of those things never bothered me because I had been through being told I wasn't good enough. And so when you do win the Super Bowl and you're a big piece of it and the people around there validate you with their praise, with their love, with their actions, like you keep that in perspective too on how far you've come. Just because I would have been drafted in the top 10 doesn't mean I would have played 13 years.
Right.
Doesn't mean I would have been the captain of 2 different organizations. Doesn't mean that every time we sit down with this show with somebody who worked with me, coached with me, played with me, would have the level of respect they do for me just because I was drafted there. And so, no, I wouldn't change that. I think it would be very cool to have gotten that call at any point. You know, my son Jordan plays now, and I just pray and hope that he gets that opportunity, even if it's Mr. Irrelevant. Because I just remember what it feels like. I remember what it feels like to be standing in my mother's driveway and my father's driveway on the phone with my agent, him hanging up the phone with me, coming back and telling me that we only had one undrafted free agent offer from New York because in that time the Saints, who was my only other call, had found somebody else, right? Or him saying, hey, they're going to offer you, or they're going to give you $1,000 signing bonus and league minimum, you know, and being so embarrassed that when we did all the rookie stuff, lying about it, because nobody knew what I signed with, but just because like the other undrafted free agents, everybody was at least getting like $3,000, you know, like I just remember that embarrassment But those times I look at and I'm like, man, look how good God is. You know what I'm saying? Like that, like he takes the smallest of us, the weakest of us, sometimes the meekest of us, and he can make us giants. You know what I'm saying? And he could put us in places, man, to where like our actions matter and our voices matter and our feelings matter. And so like to me, man, I just think it's cool that that's my story.
Fanatics Sportsbook is where fans play on game day because we reward loyalty 10 times more than the leading sports books. When you bet with us, win or lose, you get up to 10% fan cash back on your bet. This is the most rewarding sportsbook.
So being undrafted, you've always had this underdog mentality. How has that perspective shaped, you know, your post-career journey and what you're doing now?
Yeah.
And how does that influence your mindset of family and legacy?
I think it makes me effed up in some ways. You know, I think it makes me hard.
Why would you say that?
I think it makes me hard to deal with sometimes, you know, because I have like this mentality a lot. You know, like if you're in with me, you're in with me. You know what I'm saying? Like I really would, like I would fight for you in a second. And I also think it's effed up that that's my love language. You know, that like when I really love a person, I tell them, hey man, you get anything, I got you. And I really just mean like if there's like any sort of conflict, I am rocking with
But you
you.
need to know that there.
Yeah, which is bad though, that's the way my mind works. That's how I kind of like quantify love and togetherness. I think it's good in some ways because I think it allows me to work in a way that other people aren't willing to work. Also think it's bad in some ways because it doesn't allow me to enjoy wins the way I should. You know, because I'm always thinking, not necessarily like what's the next shooter drop, because I'm not a worrier, but I'm always thinking like, we can't settle on that. Like there's something that happens tomorrow, right? Every day is an interview. Like just because today you got this job or today you signed that contract doesn't mean they're gonna honor it tomorrow if you don't work the same way or harder than what you were working before. Or just because they're telling you you aren't something or people are saying you aren't a certain thing, you don't have to prove it to them that you are that thing. Right, and I still have that feeling, you know. It's so funny, like people think I block them on like Twitter and Instagram because they hurt my feelings. I block them so I don't say stupid things, right? Because now I know like I can't fire back at people. And it's not that what you says bothers me, it's that, nah, I actually know the real answer to that question and I'm about to tell you, right? I actually see who you are and I'm about to tell you. But you don't always need to do that. But that was like the actions of my life. Oh, you're not big enough. Oh, you're not physical enough. Oh, well, watch me run down here in this alley and show you. Like that's how my mind works, right? Or you're not fast enough. Oh, if I'm not fast enough, if I learn angles, if I can have anticipation, if I can read tips and tendencies, I'm actually faster than the fast guy because I know exactly where it's going anyway, and I can put myself in position to do it. And so my life has made me always look for the solution to the negative, but it's also made me think that, unfortunately, everybody should be like I am. Like everybody should care as much as I care about everything. Everybody should sacrifice what I'm willing to sacrifice for this. And that's just not the truth, right? And it shouldn't be the truth, and I shouldn't ask people to do that. So I think in some ways, how I am is cool. I think in some ways, it's effed up, but it's life.
For y'all two to be as accomplished, all three of us, like, I don't know if you have 40-year-old goals. Like, what's your goals now? Because we were set to try to make it. You make it. Now we all got, you know, the next step, been successful. Do you still have goals? What's the goals for the future? Moving forward, what have you not reached in your life that you're trying to reach?
That's an easy one for me. It's about my kids right now.
Yeah.
It's always been about my kids, but I do know that my clock is winding down. I don't know how many more years I got on this thing, or days, minutes, hours, whatever. I always try to leave an impact on my children. As much as I try to stay positive for everyone else and try and put everyone else in a good mindset, even if that calls for sacrificing myself and how I feel upstairs, I try to look out for people. But for my children, I just want them to know what their father stood for and what I'm trying to leave them. A lot of times you have these Nepo babies and all this other stuff. I want my kids to understand what hard works look like, what struggle look like, but I also want to be able to give them something to look forward to, whether that's via, trust, life insurance that they're beneficiaries to, going through college right now, showing them what hard works look like, because they're civilians on campus. We had it easy as scholarship athletes. So really just trying to instill in them that this world is tough. It can be cruel. But if you do this the right way, you got a shot. But you got to work hard. You are going to struggle. You're going to have some ups and downs. And really just trying to get that message into them is probably my biggest goal. I'm good. I've traveled. I've made a decent amount of money. I've done all of that. I'm good. But it's those kids are my focus.
You trying to buy all the TV stations someday? Because I know your shit's about to be stupid.
I would like to buy a TV station. I think like the simplicity of it is that my best day is my next day, and that my tomorrows are better than my yesterdays. That's sort of like the simple of it. Death is always tragic. First funeral of a friend that just died because I'm old and older. I grew up with him. We played recreational ball against each other. We went to high school together. He was on my high school championship basketball team. I know y'all make fun of me when I talk about my basketball career. He was definitely a better basketball player than I was. And we would like keep in touch on social media. We presented his daughter with a basketball that was signed from all of us that played on that team. And his jersey, the actual jersey he wore in high school, we graduated in '97 when we won the championship, was framed. My uncle got the jersey, my Uncle Duke, who's an awesome, amazing man, got the jersey. And we went up and he spoke on our behalf, and I cried. And I don't know if I was crying because I was sad that he was gone, which I was, but like I couldn't get over that we kept talking about 1997. You know what I mean? Like, as somebody who didn't get to see him every day after that, didn't get to talk to him a lot, I was like, what else was he doing for the last 27 years? Like what was his life like? Like, who was he affecting? Like, what was he accomplishing? And like, I wanted that, and nobody gave us that, right? Like, his brother got up and talked about like the origin of him, and I knew his daughter was there, and it just kept making me think, like, whenever that time is, I don't want people talking about something that's so far in the past for me. I want to, and Fred talked about his kids, like whether it's my kids, whether it's other people that are close to me, I want to affect life now. I don't want the fact that I won a Super Bowl to be the most important thing I've ever given anybody, be the most important thing that like I've ever accomplished. I don't want that to be the whole of me. Honestly, bro, I don't want my life to be about my accomplishments at all. I have no accomplishment goals, right? I'm gonna work. I wanna work very hard. I wanna provide for my family. I want to be a good human. But it's like, man, like how do you limit the suffering of the people around you? How do you limit the suffering of the people that you can at least touch? Like, how do you be of positive impact? How do you change lives? How do you affect lives? How do you affect your own life every single day? Like, that's my goal, And I'm gonna be honest, bro. I be taking stock sometimes at night, and I'd be like, oh, you ain't really do that today. And you look at like certain interactions that you have, certain opportunities that you have, and you're like, man, like that wasn't it. Or I didn't call this person, or I didn't talk to this person, or I didn't do this right, or I didn't react in that way. And how does that affect the whole of me to where like my most important moments in life are happening today? Like, it's actually why like when we meet youngsters and they're like, oh, I would have bombed you, I'd be like, probably so. Whether I believe it's true or not, because I don't care, because I did that a long time ago.
Yeah.
Right? And so I think that's what it is for me, bro. Like, tomorrow being better than today was, and then being better the next day, but actually waking up with a mission to be something and being that.
How about yourself, Chan?
It's kind of a combination, but mine's along the line of making the name Crowder means something to a lot of people. Athletically, people know it. But I want to touch so many people with junior achievement, with the Boys and Girls Club, with all the charities you do. Now with the restaurant in Dolphin Stadium, we want to scale out with the seasoning line, with just really like when I'm dead and gone, almost to your point, when I'm dead and gone, I want people to say, oh, Channing Crowder play football too? Like, it's crazy because a lot of people would love to be defined as an NFL player. I've kind of changed my mind now where I don't want to be defined as the football player. I want to be defined as an entrepreneur, the great husband, the great father, the great, the great philanthropist and all of that stuff, the restaurateur, whatever it is. Oh, and he played football too. And I think that's the thing. I think it's the legacy. I think, I'm the second. I'm Randolph Channing Crowder second. Lil Chan is the third. Lil Chan, you better name your first son the fourth, and so on and so forth. But I want Randolph Channing Crowder the seventh to look back at my dad and me, and it's 300 years from now, whatever it is, and be like, man, our great-great-great-grandpa, like, he was doing it. Like, he set this up for us. We have this going. And, like, that legacy of life, because I think it's something that I look back and see with other communities that I don't see with a lot of black communities. Whereas, my daddy gave me this. My daddy gave me these 4 properties. I just had somebody recently tell me, when I got out of college, I graduated, I knew I would get 4 properties that I can manage now. Like, to set that up, to give your kids that leg up in life, and just to give them something down the road and keep that legacy going, I think that's a big thing for me now. It's just that legacy of, if I die tomorrow, it's like I'm still impacting the world in so many different avenues. And that would be the thing that I think it's big, and I think that I just want my kids to always look back and they say, if it's Papa Chan or Grandpa Channing, whatever it is, like, y'all ain't meet old Chan? Oh man, y'all missed out. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I think about a lot when I'm flying, when I'm sitting around. Like, I just want people that met me and be around me to almost want to, it's almost you've missed something if you weren't around when I was around. And that's what I really look into. So it's a legacy thing for me.
Well, fellas, it was fun, man. I learned a lot. I appreciate y'all buying in some of my dumb ideas.
I think it was dope.
I thought it was really cool, man. Like, we hang around each other, but I don't know if we ever get into some of those conversations. And that was definitely questions I have for all of you. And so I think tapping into this every now and then, I know people want to hear us talk about the stuff that's going on in life, but tapping into this every now and then, you're a star. And that's the reason the pivot is what it is. And I think people want to know. So Pivot fam, thank you for pivoting with us. This has been The Pivot, a part of Fanatics. We'll holler at y'all on Tuesday.
We'll dap y'all up too. We dap everybody else up. Shit.
Oh, good show, man. Hey, appreciate you, dog. Thank you, fam. Yeah, man.
Always
Appreciate
be
it.
loved.
Hey, look, appreciate you. Yeah, man. Thank you so much,
That's
man.
what we do. Hey, man, thank you so much for coming out, man. All love.
Hold up, limitless. Niggas to me, got pinning it. I fought the head to witness it. Get my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling, get me up. On the mission, get me up. Knowing me, I got the key. On the vision, I can trust. Limitless. Niggas to me, got pinning it. I fought the head to witness it. Get my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling, get me up.